Welcome to the Translation Mysteries series for Digimon Survive. This translation analysis compilation video will make use of my live playthrough on Twitch. First, an important note though. Localization is an art, not a science. There's almost never a right answer, so at the end of the day, these are just one person's opinions. Alright, let's get started. The girl who's all smiles there is Saki. Her looks are famous in the grade below us. Okay. This famous right here in Japanese is most definitely the word yume. Because in Japanese, yume is used very frequently. It's used much more lightly. It's used for a lot more situations than the word famous is in English. But if you look up a definition for yume, you'll find one to be famous because sometimes it does mean famous, right? In this particular case, though, her looks are famous in the grade below us. I don't think that that's what Yume is trying to get across, right? Because it's more natural to be like, people know her for her looks. Basically something like that. But yeah, when you're in Japan, people will tell you that everything is famous. They'll say, you go to a certain area of Tokyo, they say, this place is... It's famous because people love the ramen. It's not, no. It's well known for its ramen. In that particular case, you might say it's famous for its ramen, but that feels like there's a lot more, impact in the word. So famous here, I think, is not the right use of the word. Let me guess. Shuji and the teachers gave you flack for your cheerful disposition? Your cheerful disposition? Alright. These are high schoolers, right? So we're gonna keep an eye on whether or not Saki's the type of person to say disposition. She just seems a bit radiant, don't you think? I see. Still, she goes a bit overboard. A big sister like me has to look out for her. Is she actually someone's big sister? Or is this just Onei-chan in Japanese translated to a big sister? Because this is more natural in Japanese, right? You can call literal strangers big sister in Japan, but a big sister like me has to look out for her. An older girl, probably more natural in English. Or an older student, because Onei-chan doesn't necessarily have to be about the fact that she's a woman. It could just be the fact that she's older.
だからどうしてミノルくんは予習してないの？ほら、獣神にまつわる祭事の跡地の。
Kemonogami. Kemono is a beast. Kami is a god. Beast god.
その獣神ってのが俺にはピンとこねえんだけどな。
Okay. This is actually an issue I've run into a number of times while translating myself. Sometimes what will happen is, in Japanese, someone will use a word that isn't like a common word, but the meaning of the word will come across from just like the combination of different words put together or the characters, right? So, the first time I saw the word kemonogami, I said beast god, right? The problem is that when they wanted to put kemonogami into the game, they kept in mind, and they have to keep in mind, that if they put kemonogami into the game, an English speaker doesn't know what that means, right? And so, this here, where it says those kemonogami things don't really ring a bell, you mean the beast gods? That last part, you mean the beast gods, isn't in the Japanese version. It was inserted into the English version because they know that an English speaker doesn't know what kemonogami means, but a Japanese speaker would figure out what kemonogami means immediately. So even though the second sentence is not in the Japanese, the localizer feels the need to put in the second sentence so that the English speaker gets the same experience as the Japanese speaker, right?
私はさっきそれでこっちの態度悪いのがりょう。
The guy with the tude. Taido warui. She said it again. The guy with a bad attitude. Okay. I'm still not getting this feeling that she's someone who would say disposition, though.
だったらそこ案内しなよ。嘘だったら承知しねえぞ。
史跡の代わりの校外学習になるわけもないでしょうに。さきさんたら。
I think this might be a mistranslation. We're gonna be playing this game for the rest of our lives. I'm pretty sure in Japanese she says, there's no way that where they're going will result in extra credit or, you know, result in something related to school credit or something like that. But this just says the complete opposite. And the reason why I get more of a feeling that it's a mistranslation is because it is the type of sentence that you might confuse because it's so long. And in Japanese, you can have a bunch of modifiers. So if you throw a bunch of modifiers onto something and it's a long sentence, sometimes you can just get lost in the sauce. And you're trying to translate it and you're like, but what is this modifying? Is this modifying this? Is this modifying this? In this particular case, okay, so the first thing that's in the sentence is a trip that couldn't possibly replace the trip to the historical landmark. She's saying that whatever Saki is planning to do is not a replacement for the historical landmark trip. So if it's not a replacement, then I don't know how you get from that concept to saying that they're off to get extra credit. Not to mention that the thing that comes after that is sakitara, which isn't a positive thing. I think if you say sakitara is like, it's more negative, like, come on, Saki. But here they have that's Saki for you. So I'm pretty sure the translator's understanding of what was being said is something more positive. Whereas the Japanese is clearly something that's negative. So I think this might have been a misunderstanding on the translator's part. I think that the ni basically adds this feeling of like, she's doing this thing even though she shouldn't be doing the thing.
いや、そういう殊勝な目的じゃないと思いますよ。
They might have been confused by this, because in Japanese, this line from Minoru, it sounds like he's going against what Aoi said, and he's saying that, yeah, they're not up to anything good, basically. So maybe that confused them?
ダメじゃないか。みんなとはぐれてしまっては、土砂崩れで研修先に行けないトラブルがあったのに。すんません。でも、サキとリョウがこの先に行ったみたいで。
Excuse me, your bluster ship. Besides, we think Saki and Ryo went this way. Overall, when they're trying to get his personality across, I think it's fine, but in the situation where it feels like he's being sincere, I think they probably want to try to get that across so that there's a juxtaposition, right? So all of the other lines where it's like being flavorful or creative or whatever because he's very energetic, I think coming up with stuff like this is okay, but in this particular situation...
すんません。でも、サキとリョウがこの先に行ったみたいで。
He sounds pretty genuine to me in Japanese, so I feel like in at least this situation, they probably should have been more genuine with the way that they translated him. It is possible that, you know, when you're translating, you don't normally get to, like, hear what it sounds like. So, if they were translating it very quickly, they might not have realized that the character was being genuine, and they might have thought he was just being his normal self. But with the voice, it's very weird, yeah.
きっとその神社も今はほとんど人が来なくなっちゃって地元のほんの一部の人だけが参拝に来るくらいなのよ。
Okay.
ま、そんなもんだよな。
そんなもんだよな. It is that sort of thing. That's the way the cookie crumbles. I think that's a good translation. Yeah, so far I get this feeling that the translators were rushed a little bit because there are parts where it's translated in a way that's kind of awkward. But, like, it wouldn't necessarily be bad if that was the approach that they were going for, right? So, I said at the end of the Xenoblade playthrough that you can't really say that a localization is bad if you don't like the approach necessarily, right? Because it's sort of like liking a specific genre or liking a specific writing style. If you don't like the writing style, that doesn't necessarily make it bad, right? So you want to judge it based off of different things, and one of those things is whether or not the translation approach is consistent. And so far, it feels like this game is not too consistent, because sometimes it feels like they go very liberal and they're trying to make it very, fun and more interesting to a different audience. But then there are parts where they stick close to the Japanese and it becomes an awkward sentence because they didn't avoid the repetition, or they didn't avoid, saying something that makes way more sense in Japanese than it does in English, or something like that, right? So if you're gonna do one approach, you should probably stick to that one approach so that the person playing can, stay in that mindset, I feel like. But it sort of feels like maybe they were rushing a little bit. I can't confirm that, obviously. I don't know for sure, but that's sort of the feeling I get so far from the first hour or so. That'll do it for now. There is a mix of Xenoblade and Digimon translation videos on the way. So if you enjoyed and want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to discuss translations live, be sure to drop a follow on Twitch at BrooklynB_JP. Thanks for watching, and see you all next time.